So if you're an engineer working in this digital world, you know you're not just handling data. You're literally building the systems that create it. But here's the big question. How do we make sure all that data leads to smarter decisions and not just, well, more noise? That's exactly what we're going to dig into today, decision support systems. They are an absolutely critical tool for making sense of the modern information landscape. But before we get into the solution, we've got to understand the problem these systems are designed to fix. And it's a huge one, something that kind of defines our time: information anxiety. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We've engineered this incredible explosion of information, but it's totally backfired. A lot of the time, we're just left swimming in this sea of facts with no clue what they actually mean. To put it another way, we are absolutely drowning in data, but we're thirsty for real insight. And as engineers, you're right on the front lines of this, creating the very systems that produce all this data. So the challenge, it's not just about collecting more stuff, it's about comprehension. And that is a massive engineering problem in itself. Okay, so how do we actually engineer a solution to this information anxiety? Well, this is where decision support systems, or DSS, come into the picture. They represent a structured answer to the chaos of all that raw data. So what is it? At its core, a DSS is a system that uses business intelligence and analytics to make the process of making a choice stronger, clearer, and better. It's not just a database, it's not just a fancy report, it's an active tool built to help you make a call. Now, this is a really, really important point. A well-designed DSS isn't trying to replace the human in the loop. Nope, it's meant to be a powerful partner. Its whole purpose is to augment our intelligence, to do the heavy lifting with the data analysis, so that we can focus on the bigger picture, on strategy, on intuition, and on making that final decision. All right, so to really get what a DSS is, we've got to pop the hood and look at its architecture. Like any good piece of engineering, it's built from a few core interconnected parts. Turns out, pretty much every decision support system, no matter what it's for, is built on three fundamental pillars. You've got the data component, the model component that does the analysis, and the user interface that makes it all usable for a human. Let's break each one down. First up, the data component. This sounds obvious, right? But it's so much more nuanced than you'd think. It's all about quality over quantity. The data has to be timely, it has to be sufficient for the decision at hand, and it has to be as clean as possible. You know that old saying, garbage in, garbage out? Well, here it is absolutely mission critical. Next, we have the model component. Now, this is the real engine of the whole system. Think of it as a toolbox, full of everything from statistical models and forecasting algorithms to complex machine learning and optimization models. This is the part that takes all that raw data and transforms it into something useful, a prediction, a pattern, or even a recommended course of action. And these models can look at the world through different lenses. A deterministic model, for example, assumes everything is certain. On the other hand, a stochastic model knows the world is random and plays with probabilities. And you also have descriptive models, which tell you what is by looking at the past, versus normative models, which try to tell you what should be, maybe through an optimization. Choosing the right model is everything, because it determines the kind of question you can answer. And last but definitely not least, the user interface. You can have the best data and the smartest model in the world, but if a person can't understand the output, the whole system is a failure. The UI is that crucial bridge. A great one can turn incredibly complex analysis into something intuitive and, most importantly, actionable. Now, these components, they don't just magically appear. Building a DSS that actually works is a serious engineering discipline. It's all about taking this theory and putting it into practice. And this image here really shows you what that practical engineering process looks like. A DSS isn't just some abstract idea. It's a real system that has to be formally designed, then implemented, and finally evaluated to make sure it's actually solving the problem you set out to fix. This life cycle is fundamental. You kick things off with planning and design, where you define the key decisions you need to support and figure out the data and models you'll need. Then you get to implementation. That's the actual software engineering, building out all three components. And finally, you evaluate its performance. Did it work? Are we making better, faster, more confident decisions because of this thing? So why are we talking about all this? Because this is where everything we've covered becomes directly relevant to your work as an engineer building our digital world. As you move forward in your career, just remember this: your job is changing. It's not enough anymore to just build systems that collect and store data. The real value, the real engineering challenge, is in designing systems that help us create meaning
and pull real intelligence from that mountain of information.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As the architects of our digital future, how are you going to apply these principles? How will you make sure the systems you build are tools for clarity and understanding, and not just another source of noise?